Welcome back, then, everybody, to the fourth Darts and Farts podcast. And this, by popular demand, I have the one and only Rocky with me, Kevin Woods. Kevin, how are you?
Not too bad, Michael. Not too bad.
Thank you very much for doing this. I put out a question to everybody on the Darts Banter page last week who would they like to hear from and hear a few stories from, and your name was the most favoured, so you're still popular amongst your darting colleagues in Uri.
Maybe some of the older men, maybe. Young ones probably wouldn't know me.
Oh well, no, your name's synonymous with Uri Darts. I suppose just to get straight into it, then, how long have you been about Uri Darts now, Kevin?
I started playing in 65, 66. I was 15.
Wow, 15. Another
Yeah,
another youthful beginning. And
yeah.
was that a family thing? Did you get brought into that by
Yeah, my brother, my two brothers were playing at the time, and my father would have played years ago before that for the ship in the bottom of Canal Street there.
Ship Bar? Yeah, I remember it.
Uh, I would remember the bar, but I would never remember my father playing.
Yeah, and the family tradition has ran on, although circumstances with having families and different things have slightly taken over. But
Yeah,
I fondly remember practicing at work and playing with your Jared on a Friday night.
yeah. And he told me to tell you that he learned you all you knew.
He did, yeah, he did, but he didn't tell me everything he knew.
Yeah.
So he did. So you started playing when you were 15. Wow, that's, I mean,
Yeah,
youthful start.
it was.
And obviously you spent many years with some of the top teams in the
Yeah,
division, in the Premier League, but right through, like, obviously before there was 60 plus teams in the Newry League, you were always placing yourself with the elite teams. How did you get to, I suppose, come to that point? Like, you spent a lot of time with some of the major players in darts through the years.
yeah, I did. Yeah. But I started off first playing for the Seasiders in the Point, the Foresters, for 2 years down there. I was used to walk from Drumcash London area, and then Rinty Keeley would a lot of times give me a lift on a Friday night about 7 o'clock. Me and Walter Kay and my brother Mulligan. We played for 2 years down there, and then I moved up in the area and had a year with the Star B, and then I signed for the Star B. I was ready to play for them this Star A for this third year. Next thing, Billy Irwin and my big brother Raymond had died or version. He arrived into the Star and took me away to play for the. He wanted me to play for the Reeds in the Point, so I played for a year down there, and then I went to England for a couple of years, me, and got married over there, and I came back in about start of September '72,
It must have been
and
cheaper. It must have been cheaper to get married in England, was it?
yeah, because there was no bloody walk over here.
No, well, that's true
There's no
too.
walk over here,
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
there was a generation of
You
people
know.
moved across to go and do a bit of work. I
Yeah.
remember my own father taking a few years out along with
Mm,
the entire McAvoy clan to go and work in Germany for about 3 years.
yeah. Mm,
Whenever I was out in and around, I'll tell you how long ago that was. That's 40 years ago now, because it was when my brother was born. He was sort of to and fro in between going to Germany and that. So you're right.
yeah.
Back then, the work had to come first, obviously. So
You could have come first.
you went across the water, then you came back. Your glorious return then to the darting scene.
Mm. I came back on at the airport that Friday night. Stephen McCrink and Eddie McNeil was sitting waiting on me to play for the Gaelic B that time. Now that was in '72, and I played that year and the next year with the Gaelic B, and the season was halfway over. And I always remember one. I'm not going to say who he was. One of the Gaelic A men saying, "There's not a Gaelic B man in the team good enough to play for the A team." But then Harry Welsh and Steve McCrink came to me and says to me, "Would I move up to the A team?" And I says, "No, I'm happy enough with Pat Price and Eddie McNeil." But the only reason I got of the B team hadn't got a team, full team. And the week before the league started, the B team had only 6 players. So I went and signed for the A team, and I think I finished leading through that year with them. So it just put your boy off that said to me, there's nobody good enough on the B team to play for the A team.
And there's been a few of those incidents over the years in darts where
Yeah,
the A teams in certain venues would claim the B teams aren't maybe fit or ready for the A teams, and they've been shown up at individual level and competition level where the B teams have had significant victories over them. So um,
that's right.
so you were going in around that time where the Gaelic and the Hillbillies were to and fro as
Oh, yeah.
potentially, and I say this with the greatest of respect because I obviously before my time, but there's a lot of men going to listen to this and a lot of men going to talk to you about it afterwards. But potentially two of the greatest dart teams in Ireland, north or south, at the time,
Yeah, definitely. And all inside a 10-mile radius.
and all
You
in.
weren't allowed to play it. The league rules at that time, you couldn't play for that team unless you're inside the 10-mile radius.
And was that the case, Kevin, at the time? Because you'll remember, well, or maybe not, but was that the case for most leagues? Because a little birdie did tell me that there was a number of players, um, one who has kindly agreed to come on and speak to me in a while on the podcast. There was a number of players who were sneaking up to Dundalk to play when they weren't meant to be at the time.
Oh, yeah. I was one of them. But you, were, you, weren't allowed to play, you weren't allowed to play in any other league either. They stopped
Correct.
you back. Really, like,
Yeah.
we're holding everybody back. So we played under different names. And a few years later, we played in Bridge League for Dockeries of Points Pass, Shimmy Dockeries.
Uh-huh.
And we're all playing under different names. Dockery, I think, had a big bat on. That was about the early 90s, I think, a big bat on that they would win the Bridge League.
Right.
And there's a couple of boys of the Gaelic and a couple of the Hillbillies. Well, there weren't the Hillbillies then. There was a few weren't coming up at that way and we played in the Bridge League. So we didn't know what each other's names was every week, you know. Through the benches, who am I or what am I playing
Uh,
for?
I remember talking to my old man about this, and he said that at that point it was a bit like obviously through the 70s and early 80s and that playing darts and going places to play darts during the troubles even, and you didn't want to affiliate yourself in either sort of area. You didn't want to affiliate yourself because of your name or whatever, so people would have been given random nicknames.
Yeah,
And the same happened when men were playing for teams in Dundalk or as you're saying, Bridge when they weren't supposed to. And a lot of nicknames came about because of their profession. So there was a couple of lads that were plumbers and they were called Tubes, and there was a couple of lads who were
yeah,
photographers, they were called Clicky. There was, so there was a huge amount of different nicknames going about for guys to try and hide the fact that they were from a different place playing darts
that's
in
right.
where they maybe weren't meant to be at the time. Um,
Yeah.
and so tell me about your memories of the battles with the Hillbillies and the Gaelic.
Oh, they were some games. It was like Celtic and Rangers on the night. You built yourself up for them games, but there was no animosity between the two teams. Two teams got on great together outside the darts, you know, even with the darts.
Hmm.
There's a lot of players switched from, well, there wasn't a lot of players switched. There's a few players would have switched sides and then back again. I've seen Alan Copeland play at the Gaelic for a long time and then had words with, I think he fell out with Stephen McCrink, Lord of Mercy and Stephen, and he went to the Hillbillies and then he went to, I think he played for the Tower too and he ended up he came back to play for the Gaelic and then went back to play for the Hillbillies. I think those players like that, you know.
Yeah,
But the crack with them boys, you wouldn't get in till the Gaelic or the Hillbillies an hour and a half before the game met. There was no room, packed. And if you had to win the Nan races, you needn't open your mouth because Nan would have barred you.
yeah,
You weren't going to talk. It was there was hundreds of pounds, and I mean hundreds of pounds gambled on them games.
yeah.
Definitely.
A whole
I remember
different
one
time,
year. Hmm?
a whole different time.
Oh, completely.
Really,
Hmm.
with how even just obviously the gambling element of it's very different in these days, and
Yeah.
There's stories to be told, I'm sure, by people over time on these podcasts of how the gambling on games came to an end. There's certainly plenty of story and rumor about it, how it came to an end that where Finbar Hughes would have took bets on games. But regardless of that, that's for another day. Was there a lot of pressure in them days, Kevin, compared to what darts is now? Was there a lot of pressure in them days at that level in those two teams when you knew there was hundreds of pounds being gambled on maybe your game alone?
Oh, there would have been. But look, you took it to your stride. Nobody was beating the people into gambling and they didn't want it. But there was great rivalry between the two teams. But I think it was for must have been over 30 years the league never went out of Francis Street between the two of them.
Yeah,
You
which is
know,
a
and close
record in
in what.
itself.
And I remember one night there was Hillbillies was and the Gaelic was playing. But no, they weren't playing. We were playing something near the end, and we were playing. I forget who we were playing, but the Hillbillies was playing. Kieran Matthews was living the time. We're playing McKeown's,
Hmm.
and one of the McKeown's boys, the last game in the McKeown's were winning 5-4 or something. And he turned around and he says, the boy says to Kieran, he says, "Would you throw this game, Kieran?" He says, "And let us have a rattle at the Gaelic in the last couple of games." Kieran says, "I will surely," but he says, "I'll throw it up there." He wiped you by the board. We won the league that year. There was no such thing. That's what I'm telling you about. There was no such thing as animosity between the Gaelic and the Hillbillies.
Yeah,
The two teams went on great together.
yeah,
And I've seen many times five sides, the Gaelic and Hill, a couple of Gaelic boys would have, if the Hillbillies hadn't got boys and the Gaelic hadn't boys, Hillbilly boys would have played for each other. You know,
of course, yeah, yeah. I suppose
on both sides.
we do we live in a different time now where um I suppose there's more players now coming from different areas as well in the Newry League, so the the chopping and changing doesn't have to happen as much. It still does happen. You still do see players moving teams. Like I have moved teams, and you have
Yeah.
moved teams, and but uh, the the level of thrower, I suppose, and it's a good debate to have. You lived through those times, and
Mm.
we're maybe at your peak as a dart thrower through some of them times. Do you think the quality of thrower in the league is as good now, but it's just obviously a completely different set of people, or do you think it's different that they're maybe not as good as they were, but it's a different type of good, it's a different type of event nowadays, because like if I was to compare some of the throwers that I threw with when I started throwing darts and I was watching the throwers at the top of their game at the time in the Premier and look at the throwers now, it just seems to be there's more throwers at a better level now.
There's more throwers now because they're coming from all areas. They're
Mm.
coming from all areas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there is, in my day, there might have been 30 top class throwers. I mean, 30, but the league been at that time was only two divisions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it wasn't many players. And then there's players coming from everywhere now, and they're switching. They're switching from team to team. Everything. I never did. A lot of boys never. They all, were always one club men.
Hmm.
Like I went to the Gaelic B in 1972. I never left the Gaelic till 2000 because I was a club man, and then we had a bit of a sort of an argument with the league, and we pulled the team out,
Hmm.
and I was clear to play no more because I wouldn't play for anybody else, only the Gaelic.
Yeah.
And I was up at Ernie Devlin's house one Friday night just before the league started, and Davy McCutcheon, I think it was Davy McCutcheon and Maxie McKeown come round to the back of Ernie's house. We're having a wee bit of a party in the summer, you know.
Mm.
And they says, "Kevin, would you play for us?" Well, the Bears, they weren't able to field a team. They had a good side before that on the lower divisions,
Mm.
and they're up into the Premier. And they says, "Would you throw?" And I says, "No, boys, I have no interest." But they says, "Well, you've Tucker McCabe and Peter Greenan and Chicky and all the boys says that they'll play for us, but they're not playing unless you play."
Right.
So I signed them, and I had 3 good years with the Bears, me and Tommy Hockey, no Tommy Senior,
Yeah.
and they asked me and would I take over captaincy. I says no. because I put all the Gaelic players on first,
Yeah.
mostly.
Yeah.
And he says, well, go and co with Tommy.
Mhm.
So me and Tommy took over as vice captains, and we never had a word. We had 3 great seasons, and we picked the team very fair. And even Liam Bradley was saying one night he learned a lot from me and Tommy because we were very honest. And it's the only way to be honest. Doesn't
Well,
matter how big a man is. If he's
there's
not playing, you put him off the team.
you've made a statement there, Kevin, which I'll not hold you to account on, but I'll have to say there's very limited people over the past number of years have said uh, Liam Bradley learned to be honest. But what I will say for him is he was very honest when he came on the podcast with me last week, and
Yeah,
him and I had a great chat. And I've played for Liam. I know uh, what Liam has has it in him to be a captain, and he is a good captain.
yeah.
He's a good captain in a number of senses, and it again opens up another good conversation that I'm sure you'll be able to guide us on. What do you think makes a good captain of a dart team?
Well, first of all, you have to be as honest as you can. And a good captain will play the best team on the proper nights. If you're playing a big game, and you're going for a league title, you have to pick your best team on the night. You don't go by names. You could have. I remember one year, and Davy Douglas will really agree with this. Davy Douglas won 12 games in a row for the Gaelic. Now he was playing well, and Tucker McCabe had hurt himself. He hurt his arm, and he had missed 3 games in a row because he had hurt the hand. And we were playing Hellbillies, and it was good as a final game. And I left Davy off and put Tucker on. And Tucker won the last game. And Davy came over to me and he says, Kevin, he says, I have to say to you one thing, he says, and I'll be honest with you. He says, you done the right thing. He says, you picked the team. You're the captain and I'll never question you. You know? And it was good to hear a boy saying like that, you know what I mean? He was honest.
Yeah, no, it definitely. I suppose the one thing that I have always said, and I've played under some very good captains myself.
Yeah,
I've played under Mufti, played under Liam Bradley, I've played under Mo
yeah,
Hockey, I've played under Mickey
mm,
White and Alan Copeland together, Alan Copeland Jr.
yeah,
Um, and the one thing that I found consistent with all those captains to a certain degree is they're all ruthless. They're all. And
yeah,
when I say ruthless, they're not. They're in no way ill-mannered. They're in no way rude, but they're honest and ruthless. And they'll say, you know, like I always remember one night, and it kind of spurred me on a wee bit to be honest. One night I'd been playing shocking for a couple of weeks when I was playing for trainers in the first year, and it was a big step for me going into a team that were going to be challenging for league titles. Although I have to say,
yeah,
the previous season, Boyd's had been runners up in the league by default, but we had been in the
mm,
Premier League. Um, so I've more runners up titles with Boyd's than I like to count. But
yeah,
I was there at a few games where I may have won a couple of them, but they were bogey. They weren't good. Like they were
yeah.
27 to 30 darts. Wasn't good darts. Um,
But you still won.
no, I won, yeah, and maybe sheer will and determination got you over the line in some of them
Yeah,
games. But I remember Liam Bradley coming over to me. The card was called out, name wasn't on it, and instantly you go through a range of different things, right? You have disappointment, you have anger, then you have realization, which is, yeah, I sure knew that was coming. And I've been a bit shit here anyway, so
uh,
fair enough. But Liam Bradley came over to me and he went, "Listen, I don't even have said, you know yourself, you weren't good enough the past couple of weeks." And at that point, I was like, "Right, fair enough. I know what I have to do. I know what I have to do
yeah,
next." And luckily for me, I was able to implement a bit more kind of, I don't know if it was effort in practice or if it was just a bit more focus when I was playing, that I ended up throwing better darts in the next few weeks or whatever. So being a good captain, there's a ruthlessness to them all, I think. But does that go too far into a will to win, where people want to do anything to win?
yeah. I don't know. It's really you have to be ruthless for the team because you're picking the game for the team. You know what I mean? It's not yourself you're picking the game for
Yeah.
as a captain. I know over the years, even now with the Hibs B, I went to the Hibs B there, I don't know, many years ago. I quit for a few years.
Hmm.
And then Mickey Dorn came up and he says, would you and Jared play? There's a crowd of boys from Whitecross here, young lads who want to play darts, but they can't feed the team. I says, Mickey, no interest.
Mm.
No interest whatsoever. I'm too old for it now. And the night of the meeting, he came up and he said, well, come on, stick your name down, McKin. Yeah, just to fill the sheets. I says, I stuck mine in Jared. Jared never played in the league. We stuck our name down. It was 4, 6, 7 games we didn't play, you know.
Yeah.
And went down one night just to the Hibs there for a few drinks. Me and the wife and Jared was down. The next thing, somebody run down, Kevin, you're on first. I says, what are you talking about? You're on first. He says, you're on first. I says, I haven't even got a set of darts. 5 or 6 years, maybe more than it to do. And we get you a set. Paul Dornchurch will get you a set. So I threw in a woman bloody beat me. I think 4 women beat me that year. I'm a nervous wreck,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. But then they asked me to take over the team. I took over the team the next year, and I got a couple of players in. And then I got Jerry Matthews and Pat Farr, like, at them back in again. And we built the team up. And it's the same from the years. I was never a man for switching clubs, you know, so I'm still with the
You're still.
Hibs Bay after all these years. I've no interest in going anywhere else. I just like the Hibs Bay.
Yeah.
Great crowd of fellas, and I love the club. I know it's a wee pokey club, but it's a great atmosphere in it, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And it does become one of those things that you become attached to a team or a venue, and
Yeah,
even when you move away from a venue, you're still maybe attached to that venue itself. You know, you might not be part of the team
mm,
any longer, but the venue means something to you. And
yeah.
you know, so speaking of that, is there any particular stages or venues that mean a lot to you for throwing darts in?
Well, Nan Rice's was more of a one because I played 28 years in there, maybe more,
Hmm.
you know. And Hibs, well, the Foresters and the Point, that's where I started my darts. And not really many more that I would be much interested in, you know. But there's some great, used to be some great throws in the town, you know. But McGee's McGee is a great throw. And if I ever left the Hibs, I would love to play it for the in there because great atmosphere. And I like the two McGee's brothers. No matter when you see them, Kevin, more of a bit of crack this year since we've seen each other, you know.
Mm.
And Jared McGuigan, Jared McGuigan's a gentleman. He's a hard man, though. Great fella, boy.
Yeah, Jared, I'm a very keen supporter of the Dartley, Jared McGuigan,
Yeah,
there's no doubt.
yeah,
And you know, hopefully whenever lockdown ends and things start to return to
mm,
normal, which, you know, goodness knows when it'll be, but hopefully then we can make amends with a lot of the
yeah.
publicans who have supported us, and you know, start getting a few competitions run and getting them well supported in the venues to help the
Yeah.
venues back on their feet.
That's good.
And I'm sure people will, because it'll be down to get out of the house, you know, as we
It
all
will be,
are.
yeah, you miss it. You miss it. And then there was that thing about somebody put it on Facebook about Jared McGuigan been open during the lockdown one night.
I've
There's
seen.
no way that man would open. There's no way that man would open that place. Jared McGuigan is a complete gentleman. Him and the wife. The wife's a lady. They would not do that.
No, that was, there was.
People have to check their premises.
Yeah, there was youngsters
You
drunk on the
know.
street or something, and
Yeah, that's right.
someone took a video out of context, which happens.
Yeah,
That's what social media does.
yeah,
Speaking of which, good subject, which I probably wanted to bring up on the last conversation I was having with Liam. Never really got time.
mm,
Social media and the influence that it's having. So obviously Facebook and I suppose like the likes of the banter page, and like the banter page is a great
yeah,
opportunity. Like I have decided to do this during lockdown as something to keep me occupied and to keep me in touch with everybody in darts, which is something that I love dearly. And it's great to be able to have that opportunity to be able to do these, and for you guys to come on and give people something to listen to and think about. Um, a few years ago there was a bit of controversy, and I can't remember whether or not you would have been part of the committee at the time. But there was a bit of controversy where people, and still is, by the way, there's always controversy on social media with regards to darts. Um, so much so that we actually had to pass something at an AGM. I'm not sure if you remember that if there was any commentary on social media or whatever, about committee members, or the darts league in general, bringing it into disrepute, that they could ban people, or they could remove people from the league, or fine the team. Um, Now, luckily, it hasn't got to that stage. So with the controversies and the change in people using social media, do you think there's room going forward here where people will be able to like submit a results card via social media, rather than have this, if you're not McGuigan's by 5 o'clock on a Saturday, that's results done. Um, just because I'm thinking of the likes of Mayo Bridge, the Clockmore in T Cullen,
Yeah.
like getting those guys to travel the whole way in the Newry to drop a card off, when legitimately they can take a photo of the card, send it to the committee directly on Facebook. Is that not something that we probably should look at?
It could be, but then some of them, well, the way things are going now, can just shoot the card for themselves. Because it always was, you had to have it in a certain time to get the league secretary to sort the sheets out. It's an awful work in it, as you know yourself,
Yeah.
Leon,
Mhm.
there's an awful work in it.
Yeah.
So it's all right saying that, but who says there's not a couple of wee boys in the league that could sort the cards out, and you know what it's like, and just fidget the cards,
Well, I suppose
you know?
the thing about fidgeting them, and I understand what you're saying, right? But the reality is, if you submit a card to the league, you have to post it up
Yeah,
you have to post it up on social media anyway. So the opposing
yeah,
the opposing team straight away is going to say,
mm,
they're going to challenge that, and then
yeah,
if there's a challenge to that, then straight away you'll know, will this will work or
mm,
not. And again, I don't mean to remove the time limit, because at the end of the day, it's five
yeah,
o'clock. It's 5 o'clock on a Saturday. I believe all results should be in by 5 o'clock on a Saturday, no matter what.
yeah,
Anyway,
that's right.
right? But it just would save people having to travel in the
Mm,
Newry to drop a card off to travel back.
yeah,
Now, it's an idea. It's something that I think maybe in time will work, or maybe it won't if you don't think. Well, I understand what you're saying about the reality is that people could fidget cards, but if they're having to post them for all to see, well, they're not going to be building a good reputation for their team or their members, if
mm,
they're going to start fidgeting
yeah,
results on cards, and straight away they can be challenged, and they'll be challenged publicly, which is maybe
mm,
even better.
yeah.
But then it's open to debate, because people could take the piss, I suppose, and
Yeah.
oh, you didn't beat us
You'll
6-0.
always
What he's
right,
talking about and all this.
you'll always get somebody will take the piss.
That's the
And that's
problem
the
with it.
story. And that's the point of it, with starting an argument.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And then who's the true back to Liam Bradley as secretary of the league? And
yeah,
Liam says, well, what am I supposed to do? And they say, well, you're the secretary. But they forget how much work Liam Bradley does for the league.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
hmm
He does an awful work for the league.
He does, yeah,
He's definitely.
and he's well supported in the committee by the likes of yourself and Marty and Justy, and I
Yeah,
know Shane, and there's a couple of other members in there, but and Tom Hoggy there as the treasurer.
yeah.
What's it like being part of the committee, Kevin?
Well, it's not been bad. It's not really been, just sorry. He's still there.
Yeah, yeah, still here.
I had to knock that off. Somebody else was phoning me there. Uh, there's the house phone going. It's
Yeah,
okay. The wife's here. Uh, it's all right. It's Liam and the boys do a lot of the work. We're just there till as old hands. Some of us as old hands. I know how to give a hand to run the league and doing things and do things properly. You know what I mean? We all know what we have our own business is
yeah.
in the league and the committee. The spies know more than I. But Liam there many times will come and say to you or tell me, what do you think, Kevin? You're long enough playing darts here, or they say to Justy and that there. And we would just give them our advice.
hmm
And they would go by, you know.
And so tell me, considering that you have so much knowledge and so much time spent in the Dart League, what would
Yeah.
your best advice be to a young up and coming thrower in the Newry Dart League?
Just keep practicing. Keep practicing. And the best way to do is not switch about. Stay with one crowd of boys you're with for a while, because you always feel happier and more contented playing with one crowd of boys. If you're going switching teams all the time, you're putting yourself under pressure. You know what I mean? You get into a new club, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this. You're with a long crowd of boys, you know where you're playing. Mostly all the captain of the team will nearly always play his team, as he knows where his players, how good they are, where the best place on the team would be. You know,
Yeah,
I would
and
say Paul Dorn runs our. I've given over the captaincy now. I signed the team, but I pulled the captaincy over to Paul, and many times Paul and Jared O'Brien will come and say to me, "What do you think, Kevin?" And I would say, like, this by here, you know that, like, what their team's going to be like.
yeah,
So switch the team to suit their team. You know
Ger-
what I mean?
Jared O'Brien's a character in darts, Kevin, isn't he?
Um, a character.
And
It will.
there's limited
A lot of
characters
people take
left,
Jared
isn't
the
there?
wrong way. A lot of people would take Jared the wrong way.
They can do, yeah.
Jared O'Brien to me, yeah, Jared O'Brien to me is one of the nicest wee lads you could meet.
Hmm.
I'm very, very fond of Jared.
Yeah,
Me and him's great friends. Every Friday night I walked into the bar, I wanted a pint. And Frank says, Jared has left you a pint behind the bar. Every Friday night there's a pint behind the bar for you.
yeah.
And he takes things serious.
Oh, he does. He does.
And he's not as bad as he used to be now. I've got out of a lot. I would keep telling him, Jared, stop it, because you're letting the other boy see he's getting to you.
Oh,
I
yeah,
says, you're giving the other man confidence.
yeah,
I don't throw my hands up in the air. If I hit 26, I shake my head and laugh to myself.
yeah.
Don't let anybody see that because you hit a bad score. You go and hit 180, your next score usually hit 26. Sure, there's still 206. You scored six starts.
Well,
You
that's
know
it.
what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta be.
Mm.
I suppose you gotta be consistent in your approach to the board and how calm you can be.
Yeah,
Jared is just to me. He's one of the last real characters about Newry darts at the minute. There's,
he is. Yeah,
and certainly playing in between like the first division Premier League. Obviously, as you go down the divisions, there's some real brilliant characters still about and still throwing darts. The likes of Jimmy Little there,
he is.
still tipping away for
Jimmy.
Boyds.
And
And like there's
Jimmy's
a
good lad.
character. What about Jimmy? I'm sure you remember playing with Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy played for me for the Gaelic one year.
Correct.
And
Finger in the air, Jimmy. It's good.
finger in the air.
Give us a bit of scoop on Jimmy Little.
Jimmy would have took a roach 10 before the game started. Before he out to stop the nerves. He'd been clicking the hands and clicking the darts. And I remember one night I was playing Francie McDonald. I played Jimmy in the semi-final of the Guinness Masters. And I played Francie McDonald. Francie was a good thrower, one of the best. And I was playing Francie, and Francie was playing for McKeown's at the time. And I was used to be not as fast as I used to be. I was through very fast like Dominic O'Brien, you know. And I heard Jimmy saying to Francie, slow him down, doesn't like. But Francie just put himself off that night. And I beat Francie 2-0, and 2-0. And I mightn't have beat him only at Jimmy told me to slow me down. But there was a playing a league game against Jimmy one night, and Jimmy was pulling the darts out one by one. And as he took the second dart out, I put a dart between his fingers. I says, next time, Jimmy, it's in your hand. He never pulled them slow after that. He told me, he says, I signed a contract we used for a year, and he says, I'm staying the year. But Jimmy he was a good lad. Good
Jimmy,
lad.
brilliant
Big
crack.
character.
I
Yeah,
remember I remember Jimmy playing in a playoff game against the working men's. And this was we were
yeah,
playing in the second division for Boyds many
yeah,
moons ago, and Jimmy was playing for us. Him and Dave Jackson and Tom Fletcher and
yeah,
no, actually Tom Fletcher I think may have still been in the A team at the time, but it was Alan Copeland Jr., myself, Mickey White, Victor Hanning,
yeah,
a great bunch of lads, like a great team to be part of, And I have to say, big kudos to Mickey White for bringing me in.
yeah.
That was really me getting into darts in a more
Mickey, a nice lad.
great lad. But we were playing a playoff game, and Jimmy Little was playing in a leg that was kind of it was one of those ones that if the leg goes our way, Mickey White was coming on next, and Mickey White was a
Mm.
guarantee for us. You know, he was our star pupil at the time. He's the guy
Yeah.
that we look to go when he comes on, he
Mm.
wins. Now, what does everybody else do?
Yeah,
So
super thrower now.
yeah, so Jimmy Little was playing. He was playing Roly McGarry, and Roly was about must have been 200 ahead of Jimmy at this point, like going for as we would call it, is set up shot. You know, just before you go in, somebody's going to shout, "Do you leave it handy?" or whatever. You know, so he's going in for
Yeah,
a set up shot, and so he hits his set up shot and leaves himself tops, and Jimmy's on 200 and whatever. And Jimmy comes up the arc, he steps up and he's chewing the butt of a cigarette that hasn't been lit all night, and or a match, whatever it is. And he steps back from the arcade and asks where his pint is.
yeah,
So, Jimmy, what are you talking about? Where's my beer? My beer was there. Where's my? Who? Somebody stole my drink. Nobody really, even myself, because I hadn't experienced Jimmy, you know, at his
yeah.
peak. And I don't know. What are you talking about, Jimmy? What are you, your beer was there. Like, what? Nobody's lifted your beer, Jimmy. Jimmy
Mm.
said, I'm not throwing an dart until somebody gets me my pint. Somebody's lifted my beer. And this went back and forth and back and forth for about 10 minutes until somebody went and got him a pint, just sat down, went, there's a fucking pint, just get on with it, you know. Jimmy went up the board, calm as you like, hit a 140, left himself 48 or whatever it was, or 68. And Roly McGarry at tops, went in, hit a big 5, a big 19, something else, whatever it was, just all over the place. And Jimmy went in 28 tops, done.
Yeah.
He was outside, he was nowhere near, but it worked for him, you know, what he had to do.
He roped him. He was
It's
cute.
Oh, he's as cute as they come.
Cute as fox.
He's as cute as they
Definitely.
come, you know. And brilliant, by the way. I absolutely
Yeah.
love Jimmy to bits. You know,
So do I.
he
Yeah.
taught me a lot of things in darts. You know, mainly how not to do it because you put yourself off a tire trying to do them things.
Oh, you do. Definitely. Put yourself under pressure.
So tell me this. In the games you threw, so there's a man who was, I suppose, neck and neck with you in guests that people wanted to hear stories from and hear from. One of them was Tucker.
Oh, Tucker.
So
Dallas.
give us a bit about Tucker because he's going to come on. He's going to listen, then he's going to come on and give us a bit about you, I'm sure. So give us a
Oh,
bit
I'd
about
say the
him.
Rocket Head, Oh, some thrower, boy.
Yeah.
Best I've ever seen. I don't care. I'm not running anybody else down, but have I played best player I've ever played with? That's the man for the big occasion. I remember one year we were playing in the semi-final of the Northern Ireland, the Charity Cup it was now, not
The champion of
the
champions
Charity Cup.
one.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was Charity Cup, and we're playing STC of Lauren up
Uh-huh.
around there.
Yeah.
It's down the telephone, and he was playing this big Irish international, and we were 4-1 down, best of 11 games. Was it 4-1? 4-1 or 5-1? I think it was 5-1 down. It was 5-1 down war. And he was playing this big Irish international. And your boy went in and he hit 180 and he done a bit of a limbo. And Tucker came back in. He done 180 and he done the exact same. Your boy came back in, hit a ton. Tucker came back in 140, 140, wiped to the board. That brought us back. We came back up and it was 5-4. Kieran Rice went in. Kieran Rice went in and won his game. I think that was at 83. Our Jared was only born at the time. And I turned around and I says, I was on again, we Northern Ireland International. His name was? A wee Beardy man. And I went in the last game and I finished double one the first game. And I said to myself, come on, this is for the young lad. And my last four darts was 140 and a double 18 finish. Finished 176 and four darts again. And the two subs that night was Bernie McCabe and Stephen McCrink. And they were sitting on the back of the seats. And just as I hit the double, I could just see Stephen and Bernie feet up in there, and the two boys fell over the back of the chairs. Where they were roaring. Two boys ended up with the pints around the two of their backs. We came back and we won the final 6-1. But it's nights that not like that now you remember it, but of all the throwers I've ever seen and played with, Tucker was my number one. Always said that.
Yeah,
There's some super throws like you Dominic O'Brien, super. But I never played with them. I only on the Newry League team.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Kieran Matthews, great friends, all them boys.
Mm. And I remember, like when I was growing up, these are the names that were spouted about my house when you know maybe one of the lads would have called down. I remember my dad practicing so regularly out in the back kitchen, and he played with Kevin Murphy, God rest him, in the Purs in the Hibs, and Dad was a Hibs man through and through, as you know. That was he just never changed. That's who he threw for, and that was that. Um, but he always said to me, Dominic O'Brien was the one to watch because if Dominic O'Brien had 78 left, he wouldn't have went for an 18. Dominic O'Brien would have went double 19 tops. And when asked why would he have done that, it would have been he would have been very straightforward. And he went quickest way out.
Hello.
I got you back. I got you back.
Was some woman telling me that my pin's a default.
Oh, would you
Don't know
quit?
what it was.
Uh, so we're just saying about the best of that generation, and I was
Hmm.
just saying that Dominic O'Brien was the name that I always remember my dad talking about and saying to me, he was the guy who, when he was left with 78, he didn't go 18s. He went double 19 tops. And
Yeah.
the reason he did that, he said, if I miss, I've still annoyed the person that's coming in behind me because he's saying, that cheeky cunt, they're going for double double with me on a finish.
Yeah.
Which means that person's thinking about what he went for and what he was doing rather than thinking about going for their own finish. So
That's right.
there was a bit of psychology to that, and a lot of the best players have a psychology of they don't care about the other player. They don't care about what they're doing, what they score, but all they care about is getting from 501 to double as quickly as possible. They don't care
Yeah.
about the
That's right.
rest. So Tucker's one of those people. However, he's also been known to have a few tricks up his sleeve.
Well, I wouldn't say talking about that. It wouldn't be a, oh, he's good. He can he can psych everybody out. He knows how to psych everybody out. But he wouldn't be a boy who would try and put you off.
No, no. Well,
No. But
he might not. He wouldn't try and put you off if he was playing you. But if he was part of
yeah.
a supporting cast,
Uh,
if he's a
oh.
part of a supporting cast, could be a different story.
Uh,
There's legend stories go about keys dropping from. How tall is Tucker? 6 foot what?
he was
And
6'10".
keys dropping from a drastic height. You know,
Uh,
uh,
no, to be
on
honest, I've never ever seen that in Tucker myself. Maybe in later, but I would never have noticed that. I would be up more or less calling. I would do a lot of calling or marking all the time,
yeah.
and you wouldn't notice these things at the back. But there is boys who do that.
So
I remember Christy Rowe doing it.
oh right.
Christy was some character.
And with your experience, Kevin, especially in the Newry League, right? Um, so give me if you can, right? And obviously you'll have to trawl through the decades of memories here, but
Yeah,
give me if you can your kind of top five moments for you in Newry darts. Top five that you look back
moments.
and kind of say that like that's something I'll never forget in Newry darts, good or bad, but your top five moments.
Well, the first one would have been winning the Tom Hawkey with the Gaelic A. Happened in about '76. They were the Gaelic were the first winners of the hockey. You say, I took Tommy Hockey's place in the Gaelic. Tommy died, and then I went took Tommy's place for the 18. Tommy played for the 18. Tommy grandfather, like the
Yeah,
hockey
yeah, yeah,
trophy win.
yeah.
And winning it was a class trophy. It was about 5 foot, 5 foot high that time.
Mm.
And then winning the pairs of Paddy Clucks in 81, 82. We beat Tommy McArdle and Nobby Price. The final. That was the first final of best of 5 games. We beat them in the Plough. And the year the Gaelic went through the league, 40, I think it was 44 games in all competitions and won the whole 44. The only team ever to do it. Never dropped a point in the league. Won the hockey charity cup, the Tom Hockey. And I think we got the pairs and individuals that year too.
Wow.
The whole team. That bit too. The Northern Ireland teams was good. Winning the 3 charity cups was good with the Gaelic. But one of the ones have been, let me see, the Bears. I enjoyed playing for the Bears now. Enjoyed playing for the
And you
Bears.
had a great team in the
Winning.
Bears at that time.
We had a great side, great crowd of fellas. And the Bear himself, a great fella. I always remembered uh, going up in and playing for him. And the boy says, well, are you going to ask the Bear, see what he'll give you that for no way you playing like sometimes the barman would throw you up a few pounds. I says, well, I'll ask him after the Bear. I says, there's any chance he throws a few pounds to start of the season to start us off while travelling? He says,
Hmm.
what do you want? I says, I was away in 2000, maybe a couple of months before, years before. I says, a couple of hundred. No problem, Kevin. What did I tell him to stop £200? That'll keep you going for a while. Big gentleman,
Fair play.
you know.
Yeah, fair play. And in fairness, I have to hold my hands up here now. Um, Mark Trainer was very good. Does Mark Trainer used to run
Mm,
his teams about in his own. He had his own wee minibus from his work and whatever, and he used to run teams about in it. And there's in fairness, in a lot of the teams now, things have changed. Kevin, back then, as you know,
yeah,
when you were thrown, everybody was having a pint, everybody was having a beer. That was just part of
yeah,
it. Whereas now,
that was
there's
part of
a
it.
lot of people don't. A lot of people come in, drinking isn't their thing, or they don't bother with a drink, and they come in to
Mm,
throw their darts, and they're driving the venues. So a lot of teams have their own means of travel now. But at that time, for a publican to do that is a great help for a team because
yeah, definitely.
I know as much as anybody. Selling a football card or raffle tickets can be a bloody monotonous job, and trying to get people to bet, get a pound out of their pocket.
Mm,
And
yeah,
and will I tell you, without it's not an unknown quantity for somebody not to buy a ticket off you and go, no, you're all right. And
yeah.
realistically, all the teams are doing, and they still do it now. And I'm sure your team does it now. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but every team has a wee football card or a raffle book, and
Yeah,
they buy a ticket.
but we
And
have won. We have one there. Frank sells it at the bar. He
yeah,
just has a glass in the bar. Well, when the of us walk in, we just throw the pound in. All the 3 teams, and all our travelling's free. If I go up to the minibus and say the minibus, Frank, 60 quid I need for the minibus, he's up and hands me the £60,
and that's it
never a
sorted.
word. So
Yeah,
all our travelling's all free.
yeah. But it is
You
good.
know.
It is good to have that, and
Yeah.
a lot of the publicans do it. So
Mm,
sorry, I interrupted you there, but it is something that on this, I do like to call out the pubs because without the pubs, we don't have darts, and
oh, I know that. Yeah.
they put a tremendous amount of money over the years to keep the Newry League going, and there is no league
Go on.
without those publicans who will desperately need us all as a league to back them in whatever shape or
Mm,
form we have to return in.
mm.
What would you like to see? Would you like to see the season finished out? I know this caused a bit of discussion after the last podcast, but would you like to see the season finished out, or what's your view on
Well,
it?
I would like to see the leagues finished.
Okay,
Plus the 2 cups, 2 main cups. Let the rest go because the pubs need a bit of a boost.
yeah,
If you the leagues finished and the 2 cups, the rest can go. Sure, you could give it to charity or something.
hmm,
Any money I said you could give it to the
yeah, or
groceries or something.
as
Like that.
exactly, that's a very good call. Yeah, or as I
Mm,
said to Liam Bradley when I was speaking with him, it was always, there's the potential there. The next year the league might not have as good a sponsor,
yeah.
because the sponsors just might not have it. There's a lot of businesses suffering at the minute with all that's going on.
Mm,
There's a lot of businesses may not just have the cash or the resources to sponsor the league. So
Yeah.
The league might need to keep some of that money there to make sure that there's prize money and there's
Mm.
money for, like, I know people just think the league all just happens on a whim, but everything costs money. Everything. So pr
Everything costs money, is right.
printing out fixture cards costs money.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Keeping the website updated costs money. All of these things, it's all, and it might not be. We're not talking about thousands here, but every penny counts in a situation when you don't have a lot of it.
that's right. So you can even hold the money over and the rest of the money over from the individuals and that. And if you don't need it, if you have enough sponsors, then give it to the charity.
Do
Fund the
exactly,
charity.
exactly. Do a ballot and let
At the
people
end of the
decide
season.
where
Yeah,
what needs to go or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, no, no, it's a very valid reasoning behind that.
Mm,
I would agree. I would like to see.
mm.
Not that it doesn't really matter to me either way, but I would like to see the main cups obviously being played out because, to be fair, everybody likes to have some sort of a finals night, even if it's a small one.
That's right. Yeah,
Um,
even just a small one.
so we need to do some sort of a finals night, I
Yeah.
think, just to get everybody together again, to keep everybody involved and interested, because a lot of
Mm.
players, a lot of players in a lot of divisions are Friday night dart throwers. They're not, you know,
Yeah,
well,
that's right.
in the Premier, there's a number of them who are higher than a Friday night dart thrower. They play 3 or 4 nights
Uh,
a week, but majority wouldn't be. Very valid point. Um,
yeah,
so sorry, I took you away from your top five. So you went to the Bears. That's
yeah,
probably one of the best moments you've had.
yeah.
Any more?
Uh, well, I've not won nothing with the Hibs B yet. Now, we're going well this year. I was really looking forward. I was hoping we were going well in the league. We would have won the league this year. That would have been the top, I think, of them all because I brought the Hibs B from the fourth division, bottom of the fourth, the Premier. And then we went down, but we only lost 2 games more than 5-3 that season.
That's
And
right.
we even, that year, we took a point of boys, won the league for the 8 team.
That's true.
We're beating boys 4-1 that year in the league. I think the 8 team won the league by a point that year. But we have a good side this year. A couple of good lads we got there, and what a good side. We lost one game, and we're 3-0 up in that game. And we beat 5-3 in house. It was a bit of a sickener. That's the
Yeah,
only game we've lost this year in the league, like you know.
yeah, you're going very
But
well.
that would have been a good season.
Yeah,
Would have been that.
that was more or less sewn up, as they say.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it wasn't more or less, but would have had lost 3 more games, 3 or 4 more games.
yeah, which I couldn't see happening.
No, I don't think so. You
Another
know.
another interesting point is teams that are being put into divisions which maybe aren't fit for it, um, which we've seen happen a few times.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm bringing up points that people have brought up previously when chatting to me here. The likes of the split in the Premier League. What do you think of the split of the Premier League at the minute?
I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea. It gives the bottom teams a chance to get something. They're not going to win that, the bottom four.
Mm,
You know what I mean? And
hmm
it's giving them a wee boost before the end of the season. And it's giving the 4 teams, if it's going to one, they're playing all the best for the split. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're not just playing the smaller teams. They're playing the best. Because you have it in all the other divisions of soccer and the things, and the best team goes up. The best team wins it,
yeah,
and always wins it when you get the split.
mm,
It's a good idea. And instead of you're going around beating the bottom team 7-1, 8-0, you're meeting the bigger teams. Well, if you win them, you could win them 5 or 6, and then you're beating good teams. Your players are getting better because you're playing better teams the whole time.
Do you think
You know,
do you think in any way it deprives those other teams from playing better teams?
I can't see how it does because they're playing players of their own standard. At least they're going to get some of them needs a wee bit of confidence. Are going to be playing players of their own standard, and they're going to win more games. So that gives them that bit more confidence instead of playing the big boys all the time and never winning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, well, again, valid reason and definitely makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, it's for me. I suppose it's difficult for me to sit and say that I do or don't believe in the split. You know, personally speaking, um, I always thought with an eight-team league, as the Premier
Yeah.
is now at the minute, I thought what should happen is you should play home, away, and neutral, and you should play every team home, away, and neutral. There's 21 games,
Mm.
so
Yeah.
it works out very similar to what you have already in terms of
Yeah.
games, the amount of games you have to play, um, and at the same time, I just think that it's like I, I think the random game setting where we have to play Mayo Bridge in the Hibs. It almost gives
Mm.
gives it a cup feel to it, and if you get that
Yeah.
kind of cup feeling in a game, because as we've seen over the years, cups are they're I suppose they're unreliable in terms of the result that you expect. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
can shoot up surprises, and I think if you bring
Mm.
that element to a league, um, it makes it almost more interesting. And I get what you're saying, but like I'm looking at teams like Mayo Bridge, who Mayo Bridge are doing quite well this year. Um,
Yeah.
Mayo Bridge taking points off McGuigan's, who are top of the league, and a fantastic team. Mayo Bridge down the bottom end of that league. What I suppose my argument for it is that anything can happen. So when you're playing the top teams
Yeah.
against each other, it's always very nip and tuck. The top teams are good enough. Any of them in the top four in the Premier are good enough to beat the other team 8-0 underneath.
Yeah. That's right.
If it
That's
goes
right.
if it goes for them, like if it goes the way of the Hibs team, they could beat our team 8-0, no problem.
Yeah.
If it goes the way of our team, we could beat McGuigan's 8-0, no problem.
Mm. That's
It's
right.
it's just on the night, right? So when you add that extra element of playing those smaller teams again, yes, agreed, maybe 9 times out of 10 the the team with the players who are playing more darts, and I would never say better players because every player on their day is good, but the more
Yeah.
consistent throwers, because they're throwing more darts, have a better chance of a better opportunity. So I do see what the reasoning in bringing the top four together, but I just think the element of surprise is good as well. So there's an argument for both. I
There
would
is an
I
argument.
would say,
You can argue all day and all night, and you're still going to get the same thing in the end. Some wants and some don't.
but that's it. And the
You
and the
know.
and the top teams are always gonna come
Yeah.
through. They should do. The top teams should
And you
always
see,
come through.
as you were saying, no matter what way the committee rule it, there's always going somebody is going to complain about it
Oh well, that's
and
true.
say like you'll always get somebody who's going to complain. So you're in a no-win situation with the committee. You know.
A good question, Kevin, for yourself. And you're a man that I normally saw you at the summer league twice a year, and it was the
Yeah.
the week the card came out and the week after. I see you for those 2 weeks every year at the summer league, and then I
Yeah.
don't see you the rest of it. But
Mm.
and notorious for turning around and you know men turning around at the summer league, seeing Kevin stand behind them with a sheet, just asking them, "I'm only asking you what you're doing this year. I'm not trying to put any
Uh,
pressure on you."
yeah.
Do you enjoy that element of building a team? You seem to, from
Yeah.
what you're telling me, you seem to really
Yeah.
that's something that you really enjoy doing is building a team.
Yeah. Definitely. We used to always do it. Me and Paddy Rogers and Harry Welsh for the Gaelic. We had our players asked 3 months before. And see when the forms are given out that night, me and Paddy by 11:30, and Harry, we had the team signed. Nobody else could have them. That's the only way to do it. And then we have the rest of the thing sheets in. That's us okay. That's the only way to do it. You go and ask your players, and because you have to ask players ahead of yourself, you know.
Yeah, I think times have changed, Kevin, to a certain degree. I don't think certainly when I started off, and to a certain element, I'm a man of principle
Mm,
in the sense that if I say I'm going to sign a form for you, like
yeah,
if I said to you tomorrow, yes, Kevin, I'm going to sign for you this year, I'll go and sign for you. That's it. There's
yeah.
no,
I do the same myself.
I don't change my opinion on it. I don't change, and it doesn't matter who offers me a place elsewhere or whatever. If I give a man my word in my hand, that's it. That's what I'll
That's
do.
what I like to see. Maybe.
But I think times have changed, haven't they? Like, you don't
Uh,
have that type of attitude like throughout. So yeah, no, I agree with you, Kevin. I would say times have changed that way. People don't really stand by it as much as they did. But listen,
Yeah,
unfortunately, we're out of time. You have to go before the surgery
yeah,
closes. And
that's right.
I hope your hand's all right, and I really hope that you get through lockdown safe and sound, and we're back out the other end of it, shooting arrows at each other. So thanks for doing it. I really appreciate it, and we'll
No
talk soon.
bother.
All right, Kev.
Okay, Hemi Halls. Nice
Thanks,
to talk to
Kevin.
you, buddy.
You too.
Right.
Cheers. Bye now.
Bye. Bye.